New details now surrounding disgraced school resource deputy Scott Peterson, who never confronted the Parkland shooter. It turns out he may have been less than truthful in the months after the shooting. Every detail certainly matters in major investigations like this.
Yet now we're hearing in Peterson's side of the story, many of those details simply don't add up. CBS 4's Kerry Cott has been sorting through this tonight. He's live at BSO headquarters with the story. Kerry?
That's right, Elliot Rudabay. Back in August, school resource deputy Scott Peterson sat down with the lead detective on the Parkland shooting here at BSO headquarters and spoke to him. Now, that investigator, the lead detective on the case, also spoke with Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigators here at BSO. And we learn in the statement that lead detective gave to FDLE, he said that Peterson's statement to him about the shooting was full of inaccuracies. 2 days after the deadly shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, disgraced former Broward school resource deputy Scott Peterson gave a statement to the lead detective on the case. Peterson told the detective he only heard 2 or 3 gunshots that day and that he didn't know where the shots were coming from. But once BSO got its hands on the surveillance video from the school a few days later, the lead detective said he learned that there is almost on every detail that Peterson gave in the statement inaccuracies. For instance, on Peterson's first radio transmission from the shooting, less than 2 minutes after it began, Peterson identified possible gunshots and their location.
We have possible, could be firecrackers. I think we got shots fired. Possible shots fired. 1200 building.
A video animation shows Peterson at the east end of the freshman building, just as the confessed shooter murdered campus monitor Aaron Feis on the first floor, and before the shooter made it to the 3rd floor. Peterson then retreated to the building to the south and stayed there for 48 minutes. The lead detective, John Curcio, told investigators with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement that the rounds being fired were loud, that people were screaming in the building, and that the shooter fired shots out of the 2nd floor that landed about 70 feet from Peterson. Curcio told FDLE the 2 or 3 shots that he claims he heard were actually over 70 shots going off inside the building. Curcio added, "I'm not saying anyone's lying, just unreasonable in my opinion to believe he didn't know where those shots were coming from." Months after the shooting, Peterson stuck with his initial story.
Why aren't you going inside?
Well, because, Savannah, I didn't know if it was in there. I didn't know if it was outside.
Why not check it out?
What I was trained is you contain the area.
I'll never forgive him.
We spoke with Fred Guttenberg recently. His daughter Jamie was shot and killed on the 3rd floor of the building.
She was second to last to be shot. If you see how close she was to the stairwell, 1 more second, she's in the stairwell and she's alive. She needed 1 more second. That's all my kid needed. And Peterson didn't give her that second.
The commission investigating the school shooting determined that Peterson was derelict in his duty and provided bad information to responding deputies that hindered the law enforcement response. In his statement, Curcio said Peterson likely could have saved lives. Curcio said every minute you're in that building distracting the shooter, kids are finding cover. Every moment you distract the shooter, he's not shooting kids. He's a school resource officer. He certainly knew what he was supposed to do, and that's my opinion. What is reinforced from this statement is that if Peterson had gone into the freshman building when he got there that day, it's possible those 6 people murdered on the 3rd floor and also Aaron Feis on the 1st floor might have been saved. Peterson resigned from BSO. He is being sued over his actions that day. Meanwhile, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement continues to investigate the law enforcement response to the shooting that day. Live at BSO, Kerry Cott, CBS 4 News Tonight.